Hey YouTube, this is Old School Ted 1 with the NXT review for this week. In the past week, the only real NXT rookie we've seen in other WWE programming was Darren Young over on SmackDown in a six-man tag match. Not too much into that match, just good seeing him along with the Straight Edge Society. Nothing too much. So we go to the introduction where we see all the rookies in the ring. And you have Matt Striker come out, and I mentioned last week that I was worried that you'd have a Road Rules challenge mentality take over the whole show. And what happens? They're doing pugil sticks on little wibbly wobbly things, just like Road Rules would do. But it's not as bad as I thought. They did a really good job of it, if I had to be fair. At least I think so. So you had the first round, if you will, where the winners were Heath, Slater, Skip Sheffield, Darren Young, and Daniel Bryan. The only thing of note is Michael Tarver threw his stick down and let Daniel Bryan sort of poke him off, if you will. So Daniel Bryan has his first win in NXT in pugil sticks. Now, if you've been reading Daniel Bryan's Twitter, he's been really sick, so I wasn't surprised that he didn't wrestle tonight. It's also good, he's also the only rookie who hasn't taken a break and hasn't had a week where he hasn't wrestled. They actually announced that Tarver is 0-4, which means out of all the weeks we've had NXT so far, he's only wrestled 4 times. So I thought it was good to give him a break. Moving on, at the end of the segment I got excited because only 13 minutes had gone by, and I'm thinking, 13 minutes of challenge, then wrestling. Great. No. They did all the vignettes because we have Extreme Rules this weekend, and I understand they wanted to promote everyone for Extreme Rules, but Cena, Batista, and Swagger, Orton videos don't get me overly excited. So our first match was 27 minutes in. Justin Gabriel versus David Otunga. Otunga and R-Truth had some tension coming out. Worked pretty well. And you could sort of see the face working with the heel student. It came across really well. What I really liked about this match was Justin Gabriel was much sharper, and his moveset's becoming more defined. He had a really good slingshot where he slingshots up onto the top rope and it's a flying body press, beautifully taken. He did a spot to the outside where he did a no-hands dive that he turned into a flip. If there's a better name for that, let me know. Otunga looked much cleaner than he ever has before. So overall, best match for David Otunga so far. I give the match 6 1/4 stars. The end's important. The end had sunset flip from the outside with Gabriel doing the flip and Otunga fighting it off, yelling for R-Truth to help him. He had his hands out, and R-Truth just stood there and shook his head and like, no, I'm not going to do this. You're on your own. Gabriel rolls him up, gets the pin. So now we got a good storyline and some tension building between R-Truth and then as well as Otunga. Pretty well done. Move on to the next round of the pugil sticks challenge thingy, and you had Skip Sheffield going through the final, and then you had Darren Young going on to the final. Okay, it's fairly quick, fairly painless. I like that. That's always a good sign. So you had next match comes up, which is Tarver comes out and says how he's not going to be a puppet for the fans. A few minutes on the mic, does pretty well, calls out any rookie from the back. I kind of knew Daniel Bryan wouldn't come out. I was hoping he would, but instead you have Skip Sheffield, who tells him to shut up. Comes down, says he has a point to prove for William Regal. It was well done. Gets in the ring, and I'm thinking, great, one of these two guys will win. No. Straight Edge Society comes out with Punk doing a minute of vignette, sort of showing or a minute of on the mic, sort of showing them how it's done, because he essentially in a minute laid out tension between Gallows and Darren Young is a good thing and keeps them both on their edge, and how he believes in the law of the jungle. Alright, let's move on to the match, the actual wrestling. This is the best rookies match so far in NXT, hands down. They did psychology well. They focused when they isolated someone. They did it well. They threw someone outside. The overall match was pretty well done, and it would work on any WWE programming, from Superstars to Raw to SmackDown. And sometimes I'd argue you have better wrestling on Superstars than you do necessarily on the 2 bigger shows. Just my opinion. Moving on, the end came with Skip being thrown to the outside by Darren, Darren going up to the top rope with Tarver sort of being a bit stunned in the ring, and out of nowhere comes Luke Gallows. Gallows pushes him off. Young goes down hard. Luke then yells at Tarver to finish him. So Tarver winds up with that big right hand he's been talking about, and misses into Young's finisher, that full Nelson, turning into a sort of a side facebuster move. If anyone knows the name for it, please let me know. And Darren Young gets the win. Once again, establishing a storyline between Darren Young having tension with Luke Gallows. It's pretty well done. We might see more of this on SmackDown, which would be sort of cool, I think. Moving on, you had the finals where you had Skip Sheffield win. He had to do it twice because the first time was a bit too close to call. Striker interviews him and essentially says you win a expose or some sort of exclusive on WWE.com, so check that out. I like Skip. I think the storyline's going well for him. I want to see more with Regal, but we'll see. Oh, excuse me. Moving on. Rankings for the matches. The David Otunga Justin Gabriel match, I give 6 1/4 stars. For the triple threat match, I give that 6 3/4 stars. I know I might seem harsh, but that's just the way that I rate. Anyway, move on to the main event with Heath Slater versus Christian. Earlier, you had little coaches talking about Heath Slater moments where they essentially said Christian says he hates Heath Slater and points at last week how Heath Slater interfered and cost Wade Barrett his match. And going into the match, I was expecting a code breaker within 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Instead, we had a pretty good match. They're really pushing Heath Slater. He's not a bad wrestler. He did pretty well in the ring with Jericho. Jericho carried him, made him look pretty good. It wasn't nearly as stiff as Jericho's match against Daniel Bryan, but we're also talking to someone who's not as accomplished as Daniel Bryan, a different style of wrestler as well. The match goes on. You had just as Slater starts getting some momentum up, Jericho pulls a ref in away and gets a thumb in the eyes, does a double leg trip, and just stands there gloating as he's about to put on the walls, and I'm thinking he's taking too long. Sure enough, Slater rolls him up, and Slater gets the pin. Yep, Slater pins Jericho. Not sure how I feel about that. Kind of frustrated, in a way. Anyway, allows a rookie to get the win against probably the biggest pro on the show. Heath Slater, I give the match 6.5 stars. It's too short to give it much any more than that. The end did work. Good roll up off of the walls set up, and as a whole, I give the whole show 6.5 stars. I may do something sort of like a state of NXT later on, but until then, this is Old School Ted 1. Take it easy.